Grounding a 15 kVA transformer requires careful attention to ensure electrical safety and proper equipment operation. Here are recommended steps for grounding the transformer. Firstly, check the transformer requirements. Refer to the transformer manufacturer's instructions or specifications to determine the grounding requirements for the specific model. This information is crucial for selecting the correct grounding method and conductor size. Secondly, use the grounding conductor. Procure a copper grounding conductor with a size appropriate for the transformer's rating, typically ranging from number 6 AWG to number 2 AWG. The appropriate size depends on the transformer's current rating and the applicable electrical codes. Thirdly, install a grounding electrode system. There are several acceptable grounding electrode systems that can be used. One option is a ground rod. Drive a copper-clad ground rod into the earth to a depth of at least 10 feet. However, this method may not be suitable in areas with rocky soil or high resistivity. The ground rod should be driven vertically into the ground and located away from building foundations. Another option is a concrete-encased electrode. Bury a bare copper wire or plate in a concrete foundation or encase it in a concrete slab. This method provides a reliable grounding path, especially in areas with poor soil conductivity. A third option is a ground ring. Install a bare copper wire loop around the perimeter of the building or equipment to create a ground ring. The ground ring should be buried at a depth of at least 2.5 feet and bonded to any metallic water pipes or building steel within the loop. Fourthly, connect the ground rod to the transformer. Connect the grounding conductor securely to the transformer's grounding terminal. Use appropriate connectors and ensure the connection is tight. The grounding conductor should be connected to the transformer's grounding lug, which is typically located in the transformer's frame or enclosure. Fifthly, test the grounding system. Use the ground resistance tester to measure the resistance between the grounding electrode system and the local earth. The resistance should be as low as possible, typically less than 25 ohms. A ground resistance tester, also known as an earth tester, injects a current into the ground and measures the voltage drop to calculate the resistance. If the ground resistance is high, consider adding additional ground rods or using a different type of grounding electrode system. Installing multiple ground rods in parallel can reduce the overall ground resistance. Space the ground rods at least twice their length apart to avoid overlapping spheres of influence. If there is no suitable water pipe or building steel available for grounding, the best option is to install a ground rod system. Water pipes and building steel can provide excellent grounding paths due to their extensive contact with the earth. However, if these are not available, a ground rod system is a reliable alternative. Consult with a qualified electrician to ensure the grounding system meets all applicable codes and standards. Electrical codes, such as the National Electrical Code, or NEC, provide specific requirements for grounding electrical equipment. A qualified electrician can ensure that the grounding system complies with these codes. Periodically inspect and maintain the grounding system to ensure it remains in good working order. Grounding systems can deteriorate over time due to corrosion, physical damage, or changes in soil conditions. Regular inspections can identify and address any potential issues. To elaborate further on grounding electrode systems, let's delve into each option in more detail. Firstly, the ground rod method involves driving a copper-clad steel rod into the earth. The standard length for a ground rod is 8 feet, but it should be driven to a depth of at least 10 feet to ensure adequate contact with the earth. In areas with rocky soil, it may be necessary to use multiple shorter rods connected in parallel. The ground rod should be located at least 6 feet away from any other grounding electrodes or underground metallic structures. Secondly, the concrete-encased electrode, often referred to as a U for ground, is a highly effective grounding method. It consists of at least 20 feet of bare copper conductor, number 4 AWG or larger, encased in at least 2 inches of concrete. The concrete must be in direct contact with the earth, such as in a footing or foundation. The U for ground provides a large surface area for contact with the earth, resulting in a low ground resistance. Thirdly, the ground ring is a continuous loop of bare copper conductor, number 2 AWG or larger, buried at a depth of at least 2.5 feet around the perimeter of a building or structure. The ground ring should encircle the entire building and be bonded to any available building steel or metallic water pipes. The ground ring provides a comprehensive grounding system that is particularly effective in areas with poor soil conductivity. When connecting the grounding conductor to the transformer, it is essential to use appropriate connectors and ensure a tight, secure connection. The preferred method is to use compression connectors, which provide a reliable, low-resistance connection. The connectors should be listed for the specific conductor size and material being used. After making the connection, it should be protected from corrosion with a suitable sealant or tape. Testing the grounding system is crucial to verify its effectiveness. A ground resistance tester, also known as an earth ground tester, is used to measure the resistance between the grounding electrode system and the earth. The tester works by injecting a current into the earth and measuring the voltage drop. The resistance is then calculated using Ohm's law. The acceptable ground resistance value is typically 25 ohms or less, as specified by the NEC. If the ground resistance exceeds this value, additional grounding electrodes should be installed to reduce the resistance. In addition to ground resistance testing, it is also important to perform a visual inspection of the grounding system. Check for any signs of corrosion, damage, or loose connections. Ensure that all grounding conductors are properly sized and installed according to the NEC. If any issues are found, they should be corrected immediately to maintain the integrity of the grounding system. The size of the grounding conductor is determined by the size of the transformer's overcurrent protection device. The NEC provides tables that specify the minimum size grounding conductor required for various overcurrent protection device ratings. For example, NEC Table 250.102 current is used to determine the size of the grounding electrode conductor for AC systems. The grounding electrode conductor connects the grounding electrode, such as a ground rod or UFA ground, to the service equipment. It is important to select the correct size grounding conductor to ensure that it can safely carry fault current back to the source. In addition to the grounding electrode conductor, there is also the equipment grounding conductor, which connects the non-current carrying metal parts of electrical equipment to the grounding system. The equipment grounding conductor provides a low impedance path for fault current to flow back to the source, stripping the overcurrent protection device and clearing the fault. The size of the equipment grounding conductor is determined by the size of the overcurrent protection device protecting the circuit. NEC Table 250.122 specifies the minimum size equipment grounding conductor required for various overcurrent protection device ratings. It is essential to install both the grounding electrode conductor and the equipment grounding conductor to ensure a safe and effective grounding system. Furthermore, it's important to understand the difference between grounding and bonding. Grounding refers to connecting electrical equipment and systems to the earth, while bonding refers to connecting non-current carrying metal parts together to create a low impedance path for fault current. Bonding is essential to minimize voltage differences between metal parts and prevent electric shock hazards. All metal parts that are likely to become energized during a fault should be bonded together and connected to the grounding system. This includes metal conduits, enclosures, and equipment frames. The bonding connection should be made using appropriate connectors and should be tight and secure. The NEC provides detailed requirements for bonding electrical systems and equipment. It is essential to follow these requirements to ensure a safe and effective electrical installation. In addition to the specific requirements for grounding transformers, there are also general grounding requirements that apply to all electrical systems. These requirements are outlined in Article 250 of the NEC. Article 250 covers topics such as grounding electrode systems, grounding conductors, bonding, and equipment grounding. It is essential to be familiar with Article 250 to ensure that all electrical systems are properly grounded. When installing a grounding system, it is important to consider the specific conditions at the site. Soil conditions, weather conditions, and the presence of underground utilities can all affect the performance of the grounding system. In areas with poor soil conductivity, it may be necessary to use multiple ground rods or a ground ring to achieve an acceptable ground resistance. In areas with high water tables, it may be necessary to protect the grounding electrodes from corrosion. It is also important to avoid locating grounding electrodes near underground utilities such as gas pipelines or water lines. The grounding system should be designed and installed to minimize the risk of interference with these utilities. Maintaining the grounding system is essential to ensure its continued effectiveness. Grounding electrodes and conductors should be inspected regularly for signs of corrosion or damage. Bonding connections should be checked to ensure that they are tight and secure. Ground resistance measurements should be taken periodically to verify that the grounding system is still performing as intended. If any issues are found, they should be corrected promptly to maintain the integrity of the grounding system. Finally, always consult with a qualified electrician to ensure that the grounding system meets all applicable codes and standards. Grounding electrical systems can be complex and require specialized knowledge and skills. A qualified electrician can assess the specific conditions at the site, design a grounding system that meets all applicable requirements, and install the system correctly. By following these recommended steps and consulting with a qualified electrician, you can ensure that the 15 kVA transformer is properly grounded and that the CNC machine operates safely and reliably. Always prioritize safety and adhere to the latest electrical codes and standards to protect yourself and others from electrical hazards. Remember that electrical work can be dangerous, and it is always best to leave it to the professionals. Proper grounding is a critical aspect of electrical safety, and it is essential to get it right. By taking the time to understand the principles of grounding and following the recommended practices, you can ensure a safe and reliable electrical system for your CNC machine. And remember, the NEC should be a good reference to adhere to as well.